Hey guys, we're back with another card video for With Heroes, but this one is specifically going to talk about card strategies for the early, mid, and late game, and the set bonuses that these cards provide to your team. If you didn't watch my last video, which was called Best Cards in the Game, I basically went through and picked my top 5, what I thought were the best cards in the game, and what they brought to a team. This video is going to be more advice and more of a guide than say like these are the best. So take what I say with a grain of salt. You might have a better idea than me, and that's fine. I recommend you go to the Discord and ask questions, give opinions. That would be really fun to talk about. But let's really, in this video, I just want to give you guys a good idea maybe for each part of the game and what I think might be a really good strategy to go with. So, early game. And what I mean by early game is probably the first 2 to 3 months of you playing this game. And it's essentially the team you're using in the early game will not be your late game team, obviously. You're going to have mystery heroes, maybe 2, maybe 3. You're going to have maybe only 1 synergy, but later you'll have more because it's a much easier transition from like a 1... I have a good 1 synergy team before having like a bunch of mythics from different synergies, but I'll do that in a different video. And also, early game, you're just trying to be able to complete arenas and Guild War, and you just be competitive. You're not necessarily trying to spend all your resources as soon as you get it, right? It's smarter to save up and use it at optimal times. So for early game, we're just trying to get max stats the most stats for the best value. So cheap cards, easy to obtain cards that are going to give you really good stats. And that's what the early game is. So I'll go ahead and put this on the screen and then I'll talk about it so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And with Heroes, cards come in 6 pieces, and each card has set bonuses. A 2 set, a 4 set, and a 6 set bonus. So here, I'll just give Archangel Scale as an example. With Archangel Scale, if I have any 2 of these attached to my hero, I get a 10% max HP bonus. It doesn't have to be the first 2, or they don't have to be touching or anything like that, as long as you have 2. The cool part about this is if I have 2 Archangel, like say I have 1 and 6 for Archangel, it gives me 10% HP. And say I go to Anger Blow and I have 2 and 5, that's 10% attack. They stack. So now I have 10% HP and 10% attack. Or, let's do a better example. Say I had Iron Shield, I had 2 and 4, and I had 1 and 5 of Archangel, I would get 20% max HP. 10 from this card and 10 from that card. So potentially you could have 30% extra max HP on a hero, just from card set bonuses. That's not even the bonuses that the card itself gives, right here, this effect. So my advice for early game, what I want everybody to do is, depending on the hero, so on this little sheet you can see on my screen, 10% attack times 3, so 2, 2, 2, on all your damage dealers or healers that you have in the backline. And the reason I say that is because if you have a healer in the backline, they're not going to get hit by basic attacks, which do a good amount of damage, unless you get crossfired or something. But heals scale off of your attack sometimes, so you're going to want as much attack as you can. If you're not sure if your healer is going to be in the front or back, or I would go HP and defense. Like, it's just safer to go more HP and more defense on a healer than attack. But definitely for your damage dealers, your mages, your rangers, your assassins, go all into attack. 30% attack is a huge buff. So I'll just give you an example. You can have Tornado Rage plus your Mortality plus Berserker. Those are kind of expensive ones I just named, but in any combination, just go for those. And in the early game, I wouldn't worry about leveling up your cards, because you can refund them, like the little potions or whatever that you use to level up your cards, but you but you don't get the full value back. Once you put a card on someone, you cannot take it off for like free if you've leveled it up. It's going to cost you. But you can always, as long as they're not leveled up cards, you can take them on, switch them whenever you want, and that's what I'm doing currently. Alright, so another thing about the early game that I want to bring up is not only do you want the 2-set bonuses, you probably aren't going to have the best cards in the game right when you start, so feel free to buy specific cards in the shop. What you'll notice if you played this game is that you're going to really have an imbalance of cards. You're going to have a lot of 1s and 5s, and you're going to be missing a lot of like 2s and 4s. Like 2s and 4s are very hard to get for some reason. I don't know if it's just my luck, but I think there's a chance that they're lower to get. The 2s and the 4s, so these two spots right here, tend to be a lot rarer. So where you can, buy specific cards in the black market. Like, don't buy the card chest. Go to the card part and buy it. I'll just show you guys in case there's anyone who's new. Go to black market, go to the cards, and you can search it here. You can go through and buy them specifically. It's much cheaper than trying to get one randomly. And always do it to complete a set. Obviously, if you don't have any cards, don't buy them specifically. If you have 0 cards, like at the very beginning, make sure you just buy card chests because you're probably going to save money that way. But towards the end of early game and the beginning of mid game, you're buying specific cards. It's way cheaper. All right. So now that we talked about early game, it's pretty easy. Look at the picture, follow that. If you had to pick between HP or defense, like you can go either way, then focus HP. I just like HP more than defense. It's my preference. Also for tanks, this is already the set bonuses are like this, but damage reduction is really good. Don't do something silly and get attack on a tank. But you shouldn't have to worry about that because the set bonuses usually match what the cards give you. All right, let's move on to mid game. So, mid-game. This is where things change. You start buying specific cards because you're starting to build up your team and you know what you want. So I'm going to use my team as an example. In my team, I have these heroes. Specifically, I have a lot of bleed heroes, a bleed synergy. And I'm pretty lucky because bleed seems... I don't know why it's this way, but the bleed cards seem pretty good, and I'll show you that in a second. But I've started to build 6 set bonuses. That's why I put the and/or at the bottom, and then I put 6 set bonuses for 50% skill points, which I'll go over. But my Horus has all 6 amputation, which is the bleed one, right? And the reason he doesn't have 2/2 anymore is because I'm prioritizing Horus specifically. You notice he's not my strongest hero, but I'm prioritizing 50% skill points on Horus. So let me show you why. Amputation, which is right here, at set 6, it gives you 10% attack, 5% double attack, both great stats for him, and then 50% skill point. This is really, really good. This means he starts the fight with half of his energy bar filled, so he's going to be able to cast his skill on the next turn. This is used a lot in other games, and it tends to be the one in the late game that everyone uses that. I don't think in this game it's as good as those other games, but specifically for Horus it's great. And the reason for that is Horus is going to apply a bleed to everyone he hits, and I want that bleed to be applied as early as possible so the rest of my heroes can do damage. Like, they do extra damage when the enemy's bleeding, right? So that's why Horus specifically has amputation at 6. At mid-game, I still think the 2 set bonuses are better to go with because getting a 6 set bonus is not cheap. Another thing, and I'll talk about this as fast as I can because I'm already going late on this video and I don't want to. But specifically, if you have a synergy of bleed like I do, and shock or silence or whatever, you notice there's a set for that. So there is a bleed set called Amputation, and its number 2 ability on the card actually applies a bleed, but it also, this is what's really important, the number 3 gives a plus damage to bleeding unit, and that is a big percentage buff. This is just a flat 13% damage to any unit that's bleeding from any damage source. That's really, really, really good. And that's a big reason why I put this set on Horus, and why I'll be putting this set on a lot of my heroes as long as I'm running a full bleed team. And this is why I put it in the mid game, because a lot of people are running 1 synergy or 2 synergy teams in the mid game, and this is going to be so strong for those teams. Even putting this on a silence hero is going to be good, because you've already applied bleeding. Now it's like an extra buff to a silence hero or any other hero that isn't part of bleeding, as long as they're on a bleeding team. I said bleeding a lot there, whatever. And now let's talk about the late game. Oh, I should mention the cards that do skill point plus 50. Amputation, Lightning, Medusa's Curse, which is Petrify. So I think those are the only 3. Yeah. Those 3, I think, are really... It's sad, but Bleed, Shock, and Petrify, I think, are the strongest synergies in the game for the same reason. I think it's almost mandatory to use one of these synergies because these cards are so much better than the others. Petrify specifically, the skill point is really good because you get CC earlier on, right? Alright, so... the second thing I want to talk about is, or the last thing I want to talk about is late game. Late game, everything changes. By now, you're building your final team. You probably don't have as many synergies as before. You're gonna have a lot of mythic heroes. This is really late. This is maybe a year for people before they get here. But you're gonna build specifically around what your team needs. So, say you have Lilith on your team. Go Berserker. This is really good for her. Getting Berserk with Immortality broken. Say you have, you know, Poseidon on your team. Go skill points, because you want him to get his freeze off as early as he can. So try to fit one of those on him, even though it's probably not worth it. Rejuvenation. So now you're going for specific... if you want to know about late game, go back to my other video and watch best cards. In the late game, you're just going for the best cards. So you're going for Rejuvenation, you're going for Immortality, things like that. And I put Immortal 2 because this is the card that everyone is going to want in the late game. Everyone runs this card in the late game as a 2-set bonus. So if you can grab this, you save it for your late game team. I mean, use it right away, but also save it for your late game team and start leveling it up. Because you're going to run this with a 2-set bonus and probably, you know, other 2-set bonuses. So that's basically it. It's sad, but build around what look through the cards. If you're in the late game, you know this game well enough. You don't have to watch the video, but you're definitely gonna want to look for the stats you need for a hero and try to make it work. And like I said, join the Discord if you need help, and we can work on it together. But before I go into that, I just want to give another example of like specific team needs with Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is like a big dodge type hero, so he wants as much dodge as he can to utilize his kit. In scenarios like that, you're looking for this, right? You're looking for sure to get a dodge on your 6, see if you can find anything else, and then you're looking for, like, see how Tornado Rage has that dodge percentage? Look for things like that, right? So maybe a 10% HP because he's a tank, and then a 4 set of dodge. You know, look for things like that. Looking for dodge. There's dodge again. This is resistance, actually a pretty good one for him. This is a really good one. If you wanted to go all 6. Let's see if it has dodge. No, it's skill point. That's still good. Anyway, I'm going off topic. And provocation's good for him too. Things like that. That's what I meant. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, guys. It went longer than I thought, but this could have been a way longer video. Like, there's a lot to talk about with cards, and I think it's one of the funnest part of the games. Just like mix and matching what you have. I change my cards weekly because maybe I get a new one, and then I'm like, oh, now I can move this over to this hero, and I can make room on this hero for number 2 that I need, and things like that. So, thanks for watching again. Let me know if you think there's anything I can improve on these videos, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.